Looks like I'm live now. I hope everyone can hear me and see me. I'm not sure anyone's here in person today. We'll wait for a few minutes and see. If anyone's coming in to watch, be here live. We do usually have a few people, but although I know the majority of you watch the replays. And I'm hoping the time on the display. Hi, Katia. I was hoping someone would be here for the live. Hi, Mary. Welcome, both of you. I hope you guys have had a good week, or since I saw you last week, at least for a few minutes, Mary, you were there. I've had an interesting week. It seems like I always have these weeks. Um, the apartment complex I live in is a senior complex, and it was uh, built in 2019 and opened in like November. And I had already talked with the or emailed with the complex and had an apartment confirmed, and but didn't move in until after Christmas in January. So I moved in on the 21st. So Tuesday, the 21st, would have been exactly 5 years that I've lived here. Like I said, I'm the only one that's been in this apartment, brand new building, when I moved in. And Monday night, Monday evening, it must have been about 8:30, 9 o'clock. And my fire alarm, which is, it's like right at the edge of the hallway that goes into the kitchen, but also my bedroom door is right there. And I have my headboard right next to the door. So the alarm starts beeping, one of them, that one. And it beeps and beeps. And so I think, the battery must be low. So I get out a new battery, get my little step ladder and get up there. And a new battery doesn't work. And I thought, well, maybe I got an old battery mixed in with my new ones. They're the 9-volt batteries. And so I got out another one, and that one didn't work. And nothing I did would stop the beeping. So I had a really rough night's sleep that night, even with my bedroom door closed. I could hear it beeping all night. So the next morning I call, and um, about, I think it was like about 20 after 6 in the evening, the maintenance gentleman finally got here, got back from lunch with a friend. Oh, for your birthday. Well, I hope you had a happy birthday day today with your for your lunch. I don't think your birthday was last week, wasn't it? But a good celebration today. Um, and he looked up at it. He said, "This one." I said, "Yeah." He said, "It's too old." He said, "It's not working anymore. You need a replacement." I guess it doesn't seem like in a 5-year-old building the smoke detectors would be too old, but it was. Oh, it is today. Well, very happy birthday today, Katia. It's wonderful that you showed up today on your birthday. So anyway, he got up there and he simply unscrewed the whole unit and then pulled it, unplugged it, and took it away. So it's like, phew, okay. Well, the next morning, mid morning, that first night I hardly had any sleep. And then the next morning, the one at the other end of the hall started beeping. So again, I called. And in this cold weather, the poor maintenance man, we only have one right now, I guess, and they've got two trainees. And he's really busy with a lot of cold and related things in the apartment complexes. But he came over again, and I had said the first time he came, I said, boy, if I'd known it was that easy, I could have done it myself. And he's like, oh no, he said, you do not get up on that ladder. Um, he said, that's my job. And so the next morning, when the other one started going off, it was so hard not to go up there and just take it down myself. But I didn't. I waited and he took it down. So I'm hoping I have two more, one in this room, my back bedroom, and one in the bedroom I sleep in. You're doing what you like. Oh, great. Well, I hope you learned something. Um, because it's the first class for this session, I kind of going to do a little bit of a review and some basics, but a couple things that maybe you haven't thought about in a long time or um, tried. So um, we're just going to do that. Are there any questions? Do either of you have any, or anyone else watching the replay? Just answer back under the video after you watch it. Um, Anything that you'd like to go over, especially like next week? Something you'd like to do over, or something new you'd like to learn? If you know what that is, sometimes it's not always, you don't always know what you don't know. I've just been playing around with some, I'll show you what I'm starting to do. Let me pull it up here. That's not the one I want. Actually, I have it up on my screen, I believe. Let's see here, let me get my computer screen. Well, I'm glad a refresher is welcome. Um, so here's the what I've been working on. This is just a simple document, and I've got some. I want to show you some uh, videos that I was watching. I'm always watching Inkscape videos to, learn more. And these two I put down. This is my Word document I've been using. Let me bring that up a little so you can read it too. I think, yep, okay. So I've got it on screen. And I didn't want to put candy because this isn't actually, it's more of uh, an interesting, funny thing rather than eye candy. So I just put question marks. Um, and the things I've been learning about. And I'm starting to make some very simple, like make a 3-inch snowflake. And we will just go through that and making a ring today for anyone who's joining us for the first time. I know we have a couple new students who are probably going to just be watching the replay, so I want to go through a few basics for them too. So this is what I'm working on, and I'm going to show you these first, these videos, because this is like crazy. And I'll show you the ones that the people I like the best for learning more about Inkscape. So let me go to this first one. Beginning. A little farther. Most of the videos that this person has are for Inkscape are a lot of speed vector art, speed art. And I'm thinking, yeah, I could do that, but can I follow his tutorial? Could you tell what he was doing? I mean, the tools, the things he was clicking on or anything, it's like there was nothing step by step you could follow there. And it just made me laugh. And the other one is similar. Were you seeing that well? Both of you?
Back when I went to art school in 1991, it took me 4 years and a bunch of random art classes to get my
First, we can draw circles as needed. Then create guides for the first part of the design. You can see, this design is made of 12 parts. After the first part is created, we can complete other parts. In third step, we complete the design by rotating the copies of the first part. Final step. Here we change the design color to gold color. Let's create circles.
A little to where he actually starts.
Select these two circles and change stroke size to 10 pixels. Then go to Path. Select Stroke to Path. Change fill color to no fill and stroke color to flat color. Okay. We have finished creating the circles. Let's prepare the guides. You saw that there are 12 parts in this design. Therefore, 30 degrees are covered in one part. Set first guide. Then double-click on guide. Here, you should set -75 degrees as the angle.
Actually, maybe this was
Then click duplicate. Again, double-click on guide. Now, you should set 75 degrees as the angle. Click duplicate. Now we can start our creation. I'll speed up the video to save your time. You can slowly create your own design in this empty space.
You'll see my favorites will come up quite at the top. The number one is Iron Echo Design. These tutorials are really good. And he goes step by step and he tells each step as you go. Very nice to listen to. And there's always a new version thing for each version that comes out. He'll have a new what's new and things like that. Another one I really like is the next one, Logos by Nick. He also has very good ones. It's hard though to find ones that you know. Can't hear you. Okay, can't hear me when the music plays. Basically, I was just kind of talking, saying, about, well, this one is going, it seems kind of fast and that kind of thing. So, exactly what you've noticed. So, another one, this is another one I like. There's a couple others. Davies Media Design. Button press graphics is another one that is good. So I would say those are the ones that I look at the most. But you really have to look at a lot of videos I've found to find things that actually are new things or something that we can actually use in our tatting design. Because this program can do so much, but it's not things that are usable for tatting design. So I just wanted to show you that. And I had to laugh at those. I'm looking at that and thinking, oh yeah, I'll go do that right now. Hi, Janella. I've just been showing a couple videos that I've watched that they're just way too fast. One of them only has music. no verbal, and you can see the mouse cursor moving around, and the person's doing this and that. They are called what were they called, fast track or something videos. So they're meant to be quick ones, and I think you have to be really experienced then to be able to just watch it and then go duplicate it yourself. Even though what the one designer was doing was just making leaves, and it's all things that we know how to do. It's just that it was going so fast and you don't know what little things the person's done in between. So that's that for today. And these are a couple things I want to talk about. So I'm just going to move this over to the side and put it down. And I'm going to have my Inkscape up. And I'm going to open a new document. And this you recognize, that's the piece I wanted to, this is what I wanted to show in the regular design class about making your samples. And I didn't know where it was, but I found it now. And we'll talk a little bit about this today. But first I want to talk about, and this is one of the things too. Notice this was my 4x6 index card that I put my samples on. And my document here, I usually work, I think this is an A4, it's not 8.5 by 11. If I zoom way in, you can see this document is only, it looks like about 8.25 by whatever. I think that's an A4 size, and I never bothered changing it. I have all the time here, I think in the class, been working on 8.5 by 11. But one of the things, if you're making a diagram, and like for my card here, I really don't need the whole page. So you can set your own custom size. And that's what I know I should do for my index card. I should make the canvas match. Now there's a couple ways I can do that. I know it's 4x6, so I could go either to my, like I said, I'm going through some basic things for the brand new people since this is the first class. Oh, you practiced it, okay. This is so great to have to design with. If I know I'm doing a design out of size 20 thread, and I should have labeled this size 20 thread, I've got all my sizes right here to work with. And so as soon as I put it in the diagram, I know how many stitches are in it. So there's no counting involved or anything. So that's why you want to have a sampler page, and I call it a template. Technically, a template is I think a document you can reuse. Well, these are our samples that we can reuse. Now I am going to resize this, and there's a couple different ways. Remember, you can always use your, I guess I better, if I'm gonna see if I can close my, get my screen a little better here so I can still see everything. And oh, I see. Notice how wide my window is. It's been, or my panel is on the right. It's been opening up that way. Um, and so I'm just going to go to the three dots and get my double-sided arrow and make it smaller. And I can go, so I can go to File, Document Properties, of course, or I can go and to this, is it that down arrow or, yeah, this down arrow. And notice the second one in. The first one is your preferences, and we're going to look at that go to that today too. And your document properties. So it brings up the same document properties. And in here, I could do it custom and make it 4 inches by 6 inches. And it didn't change it. I'm going to show you the other way. Notice my icons on the left are pretty big for my tools. And for teaching, I feel that's easier for you guys to see. So I'm going to have to scroll way down to the bottom where it's got the 2 pages next to each other under the looking glass there. Click on that. Oh, there it is showing my 4x6, only it's the opposite direction I need it. I wonder if that made it a whole different page. I'm going to go back and get my top arrow, my selector tool, or I could just hit S on the keyboard. Now I'll go down and get the I don't know if I can turn that. I should be able to. Move backward, move forward. I've been having trouble with this page thing. Four by 6. What if I make it? I'm going to change it right up here if I can. I'm going to make it 6. I don't know if I need to leave spaces. Ah, there we go. Up here in the upper left, instead of 4 by 6, I just changed it to 6 by 4. So must be the length is first, so I can do that right there. Okay. But I still have my page background, which is making me wonder if this is a whole new. It is. It gave me a 4 by 6 page and left my image. Oh, my image page stayed on there. Okay, so if I want to change so that's interesting to know, that if you go in and put a new size in for your document size, it's giving you a brand new page and leaving my background page. Now, I don't know if my background page might be on a layer. Let me go up here. I've got my layers palette open. If I didn't, I would click on this down arrow, this upper right under the snap tool there, and I could go to I lost my whole train of thought. I needed my layers. There's layers and object. I could open my layers palette that way. I could also open it by going to layer, and the first one is layers and objects. That would open that panel also. Also, Shift Control L would offer it. Shift Control with a letter opens your palettes. You can do Shift Control L, layers. Shift Control F, I think, is the fill and stroke. And if you're looking at your menu, that gives you the shortcuts. If you're looking at just clicking the pop-out down menu here, it just lets you open the panel, but it doesn't give you the shortcut keys for it. But Shift Control, whatever, usually opens whatever panel you want. You just have to start memorizing the letters, because some of them aren't always, you can't always just take the first letter of the name of the palette, like L for layers, because sometimes a letter will be used for something else already, so it'll be a different one. So I've got my layers open already up here. And I guess I've got both of those are on the same layer. See if I turn off the eye, oh, the page. Let me see if there's something highlighted here. I wonder if this one down here is the new page. That one, no. So I don't know. This is great. What a way to start out. Like I said, Murphy's been here. And hopefully while we're here, I have two smoke alarms left, one in this room and one in the other bedroom. Hopefully neither of those will go off today. So, and who knew that smoke alarms can go, I'm wondering, I don't know, go bad in such a short time, but 5 years, but it could be too, they could have been not very expensive smoke alarms too. You know, sometimes some of the corners cut. We've got things in here that in these apartments, like we've got all good Kohler, like our faucets and all that kind of stuff. But there are other things I think where, like the original light bulbs, the long-term ones, the new ones that they replace them with last for a long, long time. So anyway, here's my 4x6, and now I've turned off my page. So what I would want to do is, I don't want this without the image behind it. So I'm just going to delete this page, which I can do by a right click, delete page. Oh, it didn't delete the whole thing. Ah! Everybody, it's one of those days, you know? I'm coming up with things that I didn't practice. Okay. I'm going to get what I'm going to do is I think I have my history here. I'm going to go back in my history to the very beginning. Just by going up to the very top one. Everything I've done since that is gone. And what I can do is, I don't think I have the layer locked. That's the other thing to check for. Yeah, over the far right side of this page 1 layer, you can see my lock is not locked. So I'm going to copy and paste. And it should put it, if it's like any other program, it's going to put it on a new layer. But what I'm going to do is first, do I want to? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go and do what I was originally planning on this page for the new people. I'm going to zoom in and talk about making a ring to begin with. Oh, hi, Aurora. We haven't gotten very far anyway, Aurora. Everything I keep trying isn't working today. So things I guess I'm going to have to go and practice on, things I hadn't tried, which I need to stick to simply the things I've tried before I do class, and don't do anything I haven't tried, except it can help you with troubleshooting. So what we're looking at, and I don't know if you've seen it before, Aurora, that I love the typos. I'm sorry I'm laughing, Aurora, but I easily understand typos just fine. I'm going to make a ring to show the new people for this semester the circle tool and how it can be used to make a ring. So our basic tools in Inkscape are the shapes we have here. And the other tool we mainly use is right here opposite here, the pen tool. The pen tool is the basic main tool for any vector drawing program, such as Inkscape, CorelDRAW, Illustrator. They're all based on vectors. Um, the other programs are raster programs, are image editing programs like Photoshop Elements, Paint. All of those are raster images. And the difference is, I think I talked about this recently, is that images are pixel based. Anything digital, your TV screen, anything digital is pixel based. While and what happens is when some of you will know that when you try to resize an image, make it bigger, you lose clarity and they can get fuzzy because they're pixel based. Whereas in a vector drawing program, um, drawing programs are vector based, and that means it's all in the background, it's all controlled by mathematical formulas. It's all mathematics. So that's why you can enlarge and reduce things and your clarity stays the same. So if I'm going to start with a circle, I'm going to click on this pink with a white outline circle. That's my circle tool. I like to start with an oval because a teardrop is really just an oval with a point at the bottom. Now, some people do just simply use ovals for their diagramming. And I know that I want kind of a more roundish, not a skinny one, but a more roundish one. Because when you look at a ring, I'm going to copy, I'm use my, since my scroll bar isn't all the way down to reach my selection tool, I'm going to use the S on my keyboard to get my selection tool. I just hit S, that's all. And because I want to take one of these down here, one that's about the same size. I'm going to take this 17 double stitch one, Control D to duplicate it and move it up. As you can see, the main part of the top, oh my gosh, what a coincidence here. It happens to match. I guess I have a good eye today for matching things. The top of a ring is wider up here compared to the point at the bottom. And we'll see if I can come up with a match to this 17 double stitch ring. So the first thing I do on here is any of the shape tools from your squares, your circle. You've got polygons, which can give you triangles, pentagons, stars, 3D blocks, your 3D toolbox. These are objects. And we have an object menu up here on things you can do with objects, like group them and ungroup them. We use that a lot in diagramming. Grouping and ungrouping. Group is something that it's best to learn that the shortcut is Control G. Time saving and diagramming. Whenever you can use keyboard shortcuts, it's going to save you a lot of time instead of continually going up to the object menu, open it, and go down to what you want to do, like group. So Control G is something to remember. Ungroup, Shift, Control G. So Control G and Shift, Control G. And so that's one thing that's really going to help you is to learn those shortcuts to group things. And what I mean by group is if I wanted both this ring, this circle, and my ring to be move as one object, I can group them together either by having one of them selected, holding down the shift key and selecting the other. Now, when I move them, they're together. They're not permanently together though, because if I click off of them, they're going to come apart. However, if I select both of them and then do Control G, now when I move them, they're not only together, but if I deselect and go back and select one of them, they're still both together. So whatever I do, they'll stay together, which is nice if maybe you've got a chain coming off this ring that you're using. You can group the ring and the chain together so that they stay together. And you can always ungroup them if I select them both by just drawing my little box around them. You can't get part of it in, part of an item, of an object in. The box has to go around the entire outline to select it. I can't just get that one because they're grouped. Now I can just do Shift Control, and I just use my ring finger of my left hand on the Shift and then my pinky for the control, and then I'm going to hit G, and now you can see both of them are still selected, but if you notice now there's two little dotted boxes, which means they're each separate again. So now we're going to work just with the oval. It's an object, so when it's selected, you see just the make it bigger or smaller double-headed arrows. If I double click on it, you get the rotation arrows, and it rotates around this little cross in the center. Although we can change the rotation points, we'll do that later. Now, if the other tool, so far we've got, we've used the circle. Now I'm going to scroll up to get up to my node tool. The nodes are, besides the pen tool, and of course your basic shapes, the node tool is your second most important tool in a drawing program, in Inkscape. So I'm going to click on that. Now, what I have here is two squares, but if I use the node tool and click on those squares, it doesn't, you don't see anything but the squares, no matter what I do. And then we have the little circle on the right, which actually is a place where you can change this into an arc. It's a closed arc with a line across the top. And I'm not going to go on more about arcs because that's not what we're doing today. Actually, I'm going to just do Control Z to get back to my plain circle. But to manipulate shapes, besides making them wider or taller or bigger, we need to have nodes. And while this is selected, I'm going to, notice I still have my node tool here, so I'm going to hit S on the keyboard for my selector tool. I'm sorry, I need my node tool. And on the keyboard is node tool. I need to have it selected with the node tool. Now, up here, this context sensitive toolbar, this is actually context sensitive according to which tool you're using. We have a circle right now, and I have the node tool that I'm using. So everything across this top relates to things you can do with your nodes. So I need to make this, until this version, we had to go up and say object, oops, path, object to path. Take this object and make it into a path. Paths have nodes. But I can also now, whoops, I can also now, when I have my circle, and then I get my node tool, right up, you see my node tool right here. Right there is a little green square with circles on the corners with a white square in the middle. This is your object to path. It converts in shapes are objects to paths. I click on that. And now when I click on this, I have all, actually I had them a minute ago. I must have done object to path already. And now each one of these that I click on, like I clicked on the top when it's selected, has a handle on each side. Now notice I can change the shape, but when I pull one handle, only one side changes. When we're working with rings and chains and everything, we don't want to get like a ring. We want it to stay a mirror image on each side. So it stays the shape of a nice symmetrical teardrop. Let me do Control Z again. So if I wanted to widen it symmetrically, I could select that square again, turn it blue, it shows it's selected. If I go to this very third, you've got four shape. It shows you that you can make nodes into an angle is the first one. Smooth nodes, like make a smooth line. Now the third one is node symmetric. If I click on that now, this node has symmetrical handles. So, which means if I pull one, the other is going to pull just the same. Notice I could change it this up and down though. This is another basic. I'm going to Control Z to undo twice. Okay. If I wanted to pull it straight, this is where a control key helps. If I hold down the control key, I can move it, but notice as I move it, it's moving by what's called clicks. It's not moving smoothly like this. It's moving click, 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 click. It's moving one at a time. This is another thing. This is why we're going to look at preferences, because you can change the a rotation goes by even rotating handles goes by degrees, like degrees in a circle. So if I hold shift every time, it's moving 15 degrees because my preferences are set up that way. So this is how I could change the top of my circle if I wanted to. This time I'm going to select it with my node tool again. I'm going to select this bottom node. Notice it does have the two handles, and the same thing here. The first time, well, actually each time, it always goes back to non-symmetrical handles. So if I wanted to put, widen them symmetrically, I would go up and click on the symmetric again and move it that way. So you could make a wider at the, wider at the bottom too. But what I'm going to do is click on it. I'm going to go up to this very first one of this set of four control tools and click double click on angle. That gives me the point. This is now an angle node. It um, doesn't have any handles. However, I can, and again, anytime you want to drag something straight or horizontal or vertical, hold down your control key. I can pull it down, but notice it takes a lot to get it to move, and it's moving by clicks. So this is the way you can move something by holding and keep it controlled. So there's my teardrop ring. Now, one of the things I'm going to show you, this one I've made and I've adjusted it a little, is that I don't know if you can see. See how when if I fit it perfectly, notice that there's a kind of lumps right there because on a tatted ring, your sides aren't right straight down like that. And your um, widest point sometimes, notice this isn't totally, it doesn't look totally smooth because you don't have a little bit of a rounded shape at the bottom. And the way we can change that is to first of all, what I often do will move up the I'm going to get my node tool again, N, or right here, this is my node tool, or N. I tend to usually move, oh, they're not even. I must have done something. Notice how this square and this square are not in the same place. I'm going to hold my control key again so I can move vertically straight up and put that right at the top there. The other thing I might check out is I'm going to put this at the top of the round dot at the end of the handle and see if, yeah, they're matched. One of the things I noticed though is that they're not straight vertical. Notice how the bottom one is on the dotted line, and I can even grab from the rulers, top and bottom rulers. I don't know if you can see them right now, my inches. You might, if you look over here, you might be able to see my 3 right there, 3 inches. But I can grab either top or bottom, or top or side, and pull out a ruler guide. Notice that this one is not to the left and on the against the ruler guide, and the bottom one is. So if I wanted that to be straight up and down, I would want to get it like that. Now let's take a look at the whole shape. It's hard to tell, but I feel like it, I don't know if it's a little bit better or not. So let me show you though how you can get the bottom a little more rounded. I know I turned the volume down on that. I'm going to turn it totally off. I'm still getting um, change my don't I want to change my healthcare plan phone calls. I got one this morning. It was only 7. It was 10 after 10 after 7 this morning. A phone call woke me up. And you can't stop them because they call from a different number every single time. So you can block a number, but it doesn't do any good because they're not going to try and call you back on the same number. It's going to be a different one. So we would either want, I'm going to go get my node tool. We would either want this to have some kind of handle on it, but we don't want to make the point rounded. So instead of having the angle point, I'm going to click on it, and I can find, maybe it's in options. I know there's one that you can show your handles. But what you could do, there's two things you could do. You could notice I've got these light blue guidelines. I can take my hand, I can go, oops, once I get the hand symbol, I can move this guideline down, and I can put it right down there at the bottom. I could add a node, a couple nodes. All I have to do with my node tool is double click on the line. And now with these, I could move them out a bit. I'd want to be sure and be moving them out just exactly the same amount. Or I'm going to Z back again. I can just take the handle. If you notice, one of the things I use so that I don't have to measure things is, notice the handles, the round circle at the end of the handles, they're exactly in the middle of the black line. So if I take this one and pull it down to the left a little bit, just so that notice how it's cut in half now by the right side of the black line. That's kind of how I measure sometimes. I'll do the same with this one, move it just enough so it's half. But notice I could move it up and down a little. So again, for my width, it's halfway. The line is cutting halfway through the circle. However, I should take my guideline and make sure I've got them the same height to keep the symmetric. See, I don't. I like the shape of this one right here on the right, so I'm going to put that at the top. And I'm going to move this one down a little so it's at the top and still halfway. Now I know they're lined up. But now, one of the things when I teach, I show things that didn't turn out exactly the way I expected sometimes to teach you how to troubleshoot. With this, the only thing is that these nodes need to be apart a little. And again, this seems to be a lot of, I'm doing this in more steps than necessary to show you how to utilize these tools and manipulate them. It still is not quite what I want. And I know why. And I could I have to say, one of the things I'm afraid of is the reason I'm doing it this way. Okay, are there any questions or comments? Um, I know what I want to do. I'm going to delete these two nodes and go back to one node. Now I know what I needed to do. I'm going to back totally out. You've seen how I can manipulate and move the handles to get things. I'm going to go back to the beginning when I just had the one bottom one. I couldn't remember how to get the two angled handles. Now I remember. All I have to do is with my node tool, and you have to, sometimes if you click, you don't find the exact center. But if I'm going to grab right here and pull this side down a little, notice I've got a handle coming out. Now, if I pull the other side down a little, I've got another handle coming out. But what these handles are is I can manipulate them a little separately. I could even angle this one up, and there's a paisley. Could use a little reshaping right in here. I could take my bottom, and there we've made a paisley out of it. Do you know what? I've never tried that way of making a paisley, and it's the best way I've seen to get a nice paisley. It's a perfect way. I just learned something new. So anyway, this is how I'm doing Control Z, and you get your sides to go out a little. My point isn't exactly a point anymore, but it is close enough to be a point, and so I'm going to leave it that way, and let's see how I've come out with my manipulating to. At this point, I guess I've gotten this out of position, or it was out of position to begin with. So this is how you can make a teardrop node. And I'm trying to think of why. Let's see how many nodes I have on this one. I just have 3. I know what I've done on that one. All I've done is, I'm going to turn this bottom one back into a corner point and show you something much easier to get the bottom. Again, I'm going to hold Control while I pull this bottom handle. Notice as I pull it down, it's widening the bottom. So all the other ways I've manipulated this, yep, that's right at the bottom. Now I'm going to pull the other one straight down. There, I've got my point at the bottom, and I've, good grief. I guess Murphy's still here with me today. So this is exactly the size, except for the point. I'm going to change the color on the my top one right here. I'm going to hold the shift key and click down here on the red. So let's now pull this over. For 17, all I need to do is click on the black one and move it up a little. And it looks like to actually be the shape of a 17DS ring out of size 20 thread. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Is to, let me get my node tool in, or I can go up here. The top arrow is your selector tool. The next one down, your node tool. I'm going to get my node tool on the black one, and it looks like I can pull out to the right some, but notice it's changing the top. So to match it, I can just do it like by hand here, just by manipulating these things a little, but it's not easy. Oh my gosh. I may redo this total video. Anyway, I have my real one here. I'm going to just go, actually, let's see, I'm going to make my oval again. I know about how big it needs to be now. I can match it to the other one. Okay. I think that's why I'm going to make this, get my node tool, click on my object to node right here, get my bottom one. Right here under the extension menu is the change it to an angle. I usually at this point move my two center nodes up a notch. So like, see if I can use the shift key and select them both and move them at the same time. Up, oops, I gotta hold my control key. Okay. There, that is going to be very close to what I already have here. Yeah. There still is a little in here that needs to be fixed. And I think this is, now that I've moved those two, I'm going to click on N and get my node tool again instead of my selection tool. Now that I've moved those two up, I just moved them so that they sat on top of, instead of being right below the ruler line. I might be able now that these are in a better place to choose them both and to, I guess I'm only going to end up pulling them down one at a time. That's how I usually do it. I don't know why I didn't stick with that method to begin with. Oops, I got my selection tool again. N for node tool. What I want to do is move my line and my guide down and double check the handles again. Okay, the handle, the top edge is right against the ruler. Oh, this one is only a tad off. I thought that looked quite symmetrical. Doing it that way, I should have. Yeah, I think that's close enough to be my, this one looks like it's not quite right. Yeah, actually, it doesn't look as symmetric down here as this one is. This one is better. You like the fact that the issues you're having in working in this program, it can happen. Yes, it does. It happens all the time, no matter how much you know. Good. I'm glad you like that. I think that a lot of times troubleshooting things is the easiest way, um, because as you're learning how to troubleshoot it and what might be wrong, you're also practicing using the tools and getting better in your skill with even moving a handle or moving something on the keyboard easier or judging the distances of something. There's a lot of different things you learn when you're troubleshooting. Um, oh, and one of the things, when I changed colors, for some reason, a day ago, my Inkscape started showing up without my color palette at the bottom, which I really like. So if your color palette is not across the bottom, um, think about seeing things. My first thought was to go into preferences, and let me go into preferences. I'm going to go over to the right to my little down arrow again and click on this first one. It looks like a wrench and a screwdriver. That's like a fix tool for your preferences. Preferences are what how you can change the settings on all your main tools and on your interface. Oh, I should ask you guys, remember before I was working on the screen with the all white theme, and now I've started using the black. Which do you like better? I'll show you switching to the light right now too, in case you haven't remembered that or you're new. I'm going to click on these little tools down here. Also, you can go to File. oops, no. File is document properties. Edit has your preferences. You want to edit your preferences. Notice the same tools there. So either way, I can get to my preferences. The first thing we'll look at is changing your theme. This entire thing in a software program is called your interface. Right here, your whole window that your program is in, your interface is what's on the whole window, all the things that are on there. So my interface, my whole thing, if I click on the down arrow for interface, theming, I've got high contrast inverse, which is giving me the all black. You're probably more familiar with if I click on, I think it's the Minwadi Inkscape that's the regular one. This is how you're usually seeing your Word documents, everything. It's kind of grayish with white. It can be very hard on the eyes because it is so bright. So I'm wondering, yeah, nowhere to hide. Yeah, yeah, you can't hide your mistakes with your live stream. Um, we're already over our hour. I always used to it. I probably will start doing it again. My classes, when I was in using Chatsy, I always used to be, about an hour and a half. And we may start doing that now because when you get to talking to things, there's more and more and more, and I get going and I don't want to stop. So so I am curious as to for you learning and watching me do things. Okay, okay. Thank you, Katia. That's what I'm wondering. I like working on the dark better, but I wasn't sure if learning if it worked better. But yeah, it does help you focus. To me, I focus on the screen better. I don't think I have my preferences open anymore. So again, I'm going down to this large down arrow. I'm going to choose my preferences and go back and set it on the high contrast inverse. Now, my first thought, you like the dark one? Good. Yes, it is more comfortable in the eyes. I think that's why they've had so many requests from graphic designers and graphic people to change this mode. Another thing is a lot of designers, like game developers and all those people, they will actually work in a dark room. And they like a dark screen because it can be much easier on the eyes. Yes, a simple ring, something you can tackle. Yes, especially if for the beginners who haven't worked in Inkscape before. And the first thing you want to do to diagram is use a ring. I find that um, how to make a ring is um, a very good thing to work on. And it does help you give practice with where your tools are and different things. So now back to what I was talking about as far as seeing your palette at the bottom, I was thinking of it as one of the toolbars because here we have tools and let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, here in under interface, underneath theming, toolbars. And here, toolbars, it shows your tools for selecting and your shape. So this is showing you your side ones, your canvas tools, which are over on the right. And I thought in here I'd find the palette, open up the palette bar. But um, instead, the second thing then I thought, okay, there wasn't anything in there. Um, and I thought, what am I doing? I'm viewing, there's a palette and you can view it. So I went up to the menu item view because, like for showing and hiding your guides on screen, That's under view. Like if I have too many guides, if you end up with too many guides and you want to get rid of them all at the same time, you can go to view, and you do have a click guides on and off here, but under right below that show over here, this is where you show turn your command bar off and on. Or if you don't want this right on the right side, um, or your status bar. Look down here, the second to the bottom one on show and hide palette. If I uncheck it, my color palette's gone. And so that's how you change. It's under here, not in your preferences, show and hide. But notice here, I'm going to turn the palette back on. In the show and hide under view, notice you can click guides on and off, show and hide the guides, but do you see anything about totally deleting them? No. Deleting is an editing process. So you go to the edit menu, and way down here, you can lock all the guides, or right there, you can delete all the guides. So if I delete all guides, my guides are gone. They won't come back at all, even next time I open my program. If I want guides, I have to drag them out of the ruler again. Or remember, besides dragging down a horizontal and a vertical ruler, you can pull from the top corners. Oops, I didn't get it. Let's see. Let's see if I can get one from the other corner. There we go. You get 45-degree angle guidelines, which is great if you want. Let me see if I can. Sometimes you have to pulling that. I can't get one on the left. I know I can do it. I just can't get the right little spot right now. But the other thing you can do if you want 30-inch guidelines, I'm just going to finish talking about guides and then we'll be done for today, is when you have the hand showing, like say I go here on the horizontal, if I, while the hand is showing, double click, I get up a dialog box for that horizontal guide. Right now it's showing it as 0 because that's considered the horizontal line. If you think about a circle, how they normally do the degrees on a circle, the 0 point is on the right side of the horizontal line. And so that's 0 degrees. But watch if I take the vertical line and double click on it, that says 90 degrees because from the right side, the 0 point, over to of the horizontal line to the vertical line, that angle is 90 degrees. And so if you think of a circle, well, I'll talk about that when we talk about snowflakes, the 30 degrees at a time. The other thing I did mention was the rotation at 15 degrees. Now that again is back in your preferences. This time I'm going to use my edit preferences to pull it up because my other arrow was off the screen. There is, oh, another thing, the icon box at the left. Notice on the toolbars, it says toolbar icon size. I've got mine set at 243. If I put them back, look how they're getting tinier on the left and bigger so that you guys can see what I'm going to. That's here too. Now if I can remember where the degrees are, behavior, simplification, no. I don't have anything that says rotation, I don't believe. So let me go down to transforming is usually scale stroke with doo-doo-doo. Somewhere in here you can change the selecting, oh, steps. The number of steps your arrow keys move at. You know the arrow keys on your keyboard to move left and right? You can set those by the numbers of pixels. Here's my rotation right here. Rotation snaps every 15 degrees. And that can be changed. If you're doing something and using 30 or 60 degrees a lot, you can do that. I like 15 because when you're working with anything that um, like is um, like a snowflake where you've got your 6 points coming out and every point is 60 degrees from each other. The midway point then would be 30 degrees. And 15 is nice for things. And I know that if I hold the control bar down and click 2 times, I get a rotation of 30 degrees. Which 30 degrees might be a better one, but the default is 15, and I leave it that way. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about rotation. Or no, what was it? It's out. Something popped into my mind, and we'll cover that next time. So, it would be nice to have a text to play by play, but a little world to document. You know, that's what I'm going to, I'll make a simple step by step for the ring. Um, like I said in the beginning, this document here, I started this week, make a 3-inch snowflake. And I put in open a new template page. I didn't show you about opening a template page. That was what I meant to do at the beginning. Click preferences to make sure rotation is 15 degrees. Make a 3-inch circle on layer 1 and lock the layer. Make new layer. Hold control, draw a vertical pen line in a circle, keep line selected. So I'm going to start as I do everything. I don't know what, years ago I started something, but it just took so much time and teaching 2 classes and I was working. So I'm going to this year start doing step-by-step Word documents. Is that what you mean by nice to have a text play-by-play? Yes. I'm going to start working on that this year. So I started the snowflake. It's not finished, but I will also start one for just make a ring and make a chain. I will do those simple step by steps. And it's really helping instead of guessing, right, right. So I'm going, like I said, I've started just on a 3-inch snowflake. I will keep going now that I think this is going to work super well. 1 day a week. The working 2 days a week, it seems like I was always doing, back and forth, Um, something for design, something for diagram, then something for my house, doing this and that. And I was just always going back and forth and then getting set up for every class. So this, I think, just doing 2 design and then 2 diagram and just repeating that every month is really going to help me. I mean, I feel much more stable emotionally, stable functionally, now that I only have one class a week. But for 2 weeks, I can just concentrate on design and 2 weeks on diagram and just have the setup one Thursday a week for a class. So yes, that is what I'm going to be doing. I'm glad you like that, and going forward, it's going to make it much easier for everyone. So thank you so much for coming, and I hope you all have a wonderful week or more if you're not coming to back. uh, Although hopefully everybody is either live or replay. And have a good week. I'm just going to say bye-bye for now, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.